All right, so no stream today. I'm gonna work on some YouTube aside from this, of course, but I figured we'd do the update, talk about the little bit of news, some crafting stuff, some barter stuff, some economy stuff, just to keep you guys up to date and give you this daily video like I promised. So first things first, we'll dive into the little bit of news. There's nothing big from BSG. There's nothing major happening as far as updates or anything that I've seen so far. I went into Reddit, which is a scary place. I get it. And found some good stuff, and I think that's kind of be part of this going forward, is we'll find the positive stuff of Reddit and let you guys upvote that stuff and make that let's see if we can make Reddit a better place just a little bit at a time, shall we? So here we go on Reddit. Killa spawns, and I'll throw the link in here so you guys can go see it for yourself. Gentleman did 100 offline raids on interchange so that he could find the Killa spawns. Let me pull this up real quick, lean up and get it. Here you go. And here is the map he generated so far. I'll zoom in on some of these, but he did some interesting takes on where Killa can spawn. As you can see here, 5, 3, 4, 10. This many spawns, 100 runs isn't enough to say that, okay, he spawns here 3 times and he spawns here 10 times. Well, maybe 10 might be enough, but you can see here some places in the parking garage where he spawns, as well as the different stores. So go check that out if you want to see it. If you're looking to find Killa for tasks or grind him or do whatever you want to do, it's there. I'll throw the link in the description so you can go do it. Make sure you go give this guy a little bit of love. Upvote his stuff. That was pretty cool work that he did. Next thing I want to talk about is dynamic loot. Again, we'll beat this dead horse. Had quite a few raids now. I've had a chance to really dig into some of this stuff, and my take on it is there's just as much loot as before. In fact, I'm actually having an easier time making money because I loot a lot different than other people do when I'm looting. I go to the kind of off-ball places. I look for loot where people don't look for it normally. We're finding all sorts of high-tier loot in places you don't normally see it, or that it's really rare. And yeah, it's really rare, so maybe it's just the one time you see it. But I mean, we're talking 3-4 times in a day where we're seeing loot that we don't normally see it where it's at. So what I think has happened, I have no proof for this, I have no data analytics, it's just my own experience, is that the same amount of loot's on the maps, but instead of it being focused in these locked rooms and things like that, it's being spread out all over. The locked rooms still have the loot, just not as often, and it ends up being in different places. And I'm actually enjoying it a great deal, because we've been noticing running into geared players that are looking for PvP and fighting, that aren't just looking to loot and run away, but they are in the raid with 15 minutes left in the raid, 20 minutes left in the raid, sometimes even 10 minutes. And that's great, because that means people are staying around longer, you're running into more people, and the raids have been a lot more fun for me. But that's just my take. You might have a different one, and you're totally entitled to that. We'll get into the economy here real quick, talk about what's going on in the economy. Couple items I want to point out to you to loot and to sell. Maybe obvious, maybe not. So G phones, make sure you're selling these to the vendors. They're always worth keeping, but a lot of people just vendor them. They're worth quite a bit more to the vendors right now, and that's because of a couple of the crafts that are out there and barters. Sodium bicarbonate. I don't know if people pass this up or not. It's a 1-slot item. It's a little gold mine when you find it. I'm really happy because you can usually sell it for 16, 17, 18,000, sometimes even 20 if you get really lucky, especially now with the bleach craft being pretty profitable. And then disposable syringes. These kind of come back and forth. But they're usually a pretty good keep. Make sure you're keeping those, selling them, and just stacking them up in big numbers to sell them in bigger quantities. Some of the other things that we want to talk about, duct tape. So while on here you'll see duct tape, it says that it is an average, where's it at right here, average of 8,800, right? And that's fine, that's the average. But if you look at the chart, you can regularly sell this 12,000-13,000, especially if you keep big stacks of this. The reason people are buying these, for the most part, are for their sick case barter, right? Oops, went to the wrong guy. Let me go grab Jaeger here, and we'll go look at the sick case barter. So you need 15 of these things for the sick case barter. So when you're selling these and you sell them in a big stack of like 9, people are going to hop to this. This guy didn't have to sell at 8,000. He probably could have sold all the way down here. See, 26,015. This guy's got it figured out. He's going to sell these and he's going to make money. So if you're picking up duct tapes, this is the thing to do. You don't have to go for 15. You can go for 12 or whatever threshold you want to go for. But the same thing applies to the insulating tape. I haven't seen it quite make as much money. Usually it's about 11 or 12,000 where the peak of it is, but you can see in here people are still listing these pretty high. And if you get a lucky roll where there's a couple people doing sit case trades, you'll make your money. The other one, BT, BP, 545 BT and BP, definitely worth keeping, taking out a raid. A stack of 60 of those sells for quite a bit of money now. And this even applies to 855, which I don't think a lot of people realize. So let's say you kill an 8R scav out there, right? And you're sad because he does an 855A1. Well, guess what? Even if you pull the 855 out and sell it for about 225 a round, that one stack of ammo is still about 12, 13K. So it's worth more than some of the other stuff you're finding in a raid. And this is cheaper. I was selling 855 for like 300 and 400 around a day or two ago. Let's see what happens after we get into the week. This might come back up in price. But for the time being, I'm taking out 855 and selling it. Now for crafting, top items listed right now per average. We'll just look at them real quick so you guys can see them. You've got capacitors, shampoo, pile of meds, intelligence, and slickers are scratching, just barely breaking even. Now, mind you, I have a almost 40% reduction in my flea market fee. So some of this stuff shows a profit for me, might not be a profit for you. So keep that in mind. But slickers, you can break even with, maybe make a little bit of money if you have non-found raid sugar or you're getting your crackers out of raid. It's one way to do it. Intel is a ton of money right now. I'm crafting these. I'm taking advantage of it. I'm just buying my flash drives and my paper and crafting, alternating with thumb drives themselves. Something to mention with meds. Try to get your augmentin cheap. Buy it in big stacks. I have like 20 in my inventory right now that I bought at like 15 to 16K, and I've just been crafting meds and selling. Meds has come back a little bit. We'll see if it gets back up towards the end of the week. And capacitors, this one actually surprised me, and this one probably won't last very long. So make sure you try to take advantage of it. Get your PSUs for like 19, 18K, your red screwdrivers for 6, and don't sell your capacitors for like 7,500. Sell them for like 8,000, 9,000. You will get 8,000 for these no matter what. You might even be able to get 8,500, 9,000, especially as people towards the end of the evening are buying these up to craft their defibrillators and things like that. More dove into the workbench. Some of the other crafts you have out there, always the green gunpowder, a great one. Vogs we talk about a lot. Just make sure you're buying your 10K. 10K is a great limit to remember for your 40 millimeter grenades and your fuses. Just cut those off at below 10K. You see them, snag them up. And then on your VOG 25s, make sure you are trying to sell those for like 19, 20,000. They'll usually sell there. I haven't had a problem myself selling them at 19, 20,000, but individual results may vary. And then magnets. Magnets are still really good. They've come down a little bit because hard drives have gotten so expensive because everybody's crafting them. If you can get hard drives, if you can snag them for 8, 9, 10K, you're going to do really good with magnets still. Keep that craft going. At the med station, pile of meds like we talked about always, but surprisingly enough, if you can get your meds, if you can buy them for like 9,500, 9,000, 9,500, even 10K, you can make money with AI2s, and not pretty good money if you're sitting there crafting a lot because the craft time is so fast. The downside is if you're doing these between raids, your med station's usually sitting quiet unless you're really fast as raids. And then mules and SJ6s, make sure for your mules you're crafting your max energies unless you can get them real cheap or you're getting them out of raid. These things have been pretty expensive the last couple of days. We'll go look at it here, and I think they're going to stay that way. I think a lot of people are starting to use them more and more. We'll see if this dip comes back down after the weekend. And then lastly, at the laboratory, shampoo. Shampoo is a really great one because if you're using your water bottles and drinking 59 out of 60, you can craft, and basically you can say your water was free, either to drink it or to craft it, however you want to look at it. You're getting a lot of utility out of that one bottle because a 1 out of 60 can craft shampoo. Lucky Scav Junk Box. This is a sketchy one. You can craft it. It can be hard to make money on. Again, we're looking at mine with 40% reduction. In fact, let me turn that off because I think that's going to be more applicable to most people. We'll turn that off. You can make money. It's just a little bit more difficult. My favorite crafts right now are these two. We've talked about it. I'm trading scav vests for slickers for the Jaeger, level 1, crafting ripstop, and then I'm doing the Cordura craft with a sling, not necessarily to make money, but I can grind. I can make a little bit of money, and I'm leveling up my hideout and crafting skill the fastest. And then bleach. Bleach is probably one of the best crafts to make money with in the laboratory if you know what you're doing. And you can get your components cheap and you're getting shit out of raid. They're just really, really powerful for how the time of the craft is perfect for like one raid, and how the components can get a lot cheaper and you can save money and then sell the bleach for a little bit more. And then lastly, we'll talk barters. Let me drag that over here. I got a list. Let me unselect Jaeger and we will go for a list. So Intel, I want to bring this one up for people because Intel is so expensive, and I have a lot of diaries I want to sell, so make sure you buy my diaries when they get really expensive. Just kidding, I don't. I do this barter when I find them. But once per reset with Peacekeeper, you get an intelligence. You can see here, you're only spending about 240,000 on a Intel that can cost you anywhere from 330 to 340 to 350. If you're using your scav case, this is where you should be getting your Intel from. It's a gamble. Again, I'm not recommending you do this to make money for the scav case. I just want to point this barter out that if you want to do Intel scav case runs, this is where you should get your Intel from. It's a pretty good source for that. And then proper ammo barters. Let me go look at, what is it, 545. We'll just type in 545 because it's easy. The BT barters are okay. This one is not, don't do the D-Fool, but this one gets you BT for pretty cheap. It's a halfway decent barter. So if you're shooting lots of 545 AKs, here's a great source for some additional BP for like that. It's a little less than 500 rubles around when you do this barter. And then the BS barter, keep an eye on this. If you can get your marbles pretty cheap and you're crafting hot rods or you're bringing hot rods out of raid, you can actually get your BS for about 1,100 to 1,000 rubles around, or even less if you're better with your components. But that barter is there. It gives you access to some better ammo. This BP barter is somewhat okay. Now, it is not great, but if you're shooting BP, keep it in mind here. And one of the harder crafts to have in here that I really enjoy, once you get it unlocked, is this BP craft. If you're using Vals, you can arguably get one of the best ammos in the game for very, very dirt cheap. Absolutely dirt cheap. So you can do 10 of these barters. It gives you 8 rounds. It's kind of a pain to open the boxes and stuff, but it gives you 80 bullets. You can top stack these in mags, 10 rounds or whatever with Val, and you are going to wreck. It doesn't matter what they're wearing. This round destroys people. Downside is you have to get Grenadier done first to get it, but it is there. I want to point it out just for those that might not know or need motivation to get the barter done. Now we will go look at grenades. I want to point this barter out. This is a fantastic barter. You can get your F1 grenades a lot cheaper. I've been seeing ES lamps go for 8 and 9K, which is crazy, but you can do this barter with proper to help get yourself some more grenades, especially with how they reduce the buy limit on those now. And it's there, so keep that in mind. It's low level. It's level 1. It's not locked. It's there. It's a cheap way to get some more grenades for yourself. And then lastly, we're going to point out the D-Lock barter. Let's see if D-Lock comes up right. So D-Locks sell for a lot. You can see this right here, 85K. We'll go look. They're probably some sell in the hundreds of Ks. These are the mounts for the Reap IR. You need these for tasks. They're the mechanic task and doing test drive for proper. So if you're buying Reap IRs, or you're just chatting it up and you're running around with a Mark 18 and a Reaper, because only assholes do that, you've got 4 D batteries here, and these D batteries, sometimes they get kind of expensive, but it never matches the barter. You're getting them for 6, 7, 8K. You're getting 4 of them. You're doing the barter, and this is the only way to get this. You can't buy this any other way. No vendor sells it. This is the only way to access it. So just keep that in mind. A little bit of way to save money when you're working on those harder tasks where you got to spend a bunch on a Reap. But that's it. That's all of it. Appreciate you guys coming in, hanging out. Hope the video was helpful. Hope I provided some value. A little bit shorter this time. That's fine. No stream this time. Just working on other YouTube content for you guys. So we didn't do it on stream today, but tomorrow we probably will. We'll see if any news comes up. Thanks to the Patreons and their support. They're a huge part of what makes this this dream of mine possible, along with all of you guys that just watch, like, subscribe, all of that. You guys are all a huge help as well. So thank you, everybody, and we'll see you on the next video.